Welcome to the Pinch Masterclass series. In this episode, I'll be covering everything related to subscriptions, how you can create and manage subscriptions inside of Pinch for Saas, memberships, and subscription services. So, what are we covering today? In this episode, we're going to be covering how to create a single or per payment invoice subscription. We'll also walk through the various fixed and recurring payments that you can build inside of those subscriptions, and also some of the more advanced config if you have a connected accounting system. So let's get stuck straight into it. Inside of your Pinch dashboard, all you need to do is head to the Plans and Subscriptions module on the left-hand side here, and this will bring you to the Plans Overview page. From here, you'll be able to build plans as well as manage your subscribers to those plans from the right-hand side of the page. So, to create a payment plan, all you need to do is click the Add Payment Plan button. The two types of payment plans that we'll be focusing on today are these first two options. As you can see here, these first two options actually generate an invoice or individual invoices per payment that sync to your connected accounting system for you. So in this case, these are designed best for SaaS platforms, subscription services, or repeat billing, where you would like Pinch to manage and send the invoice over to your accounting software, as opposed to the alternative, which is creating the invoice first and using a different type of plan called a breakdown plan to chop it up, which we'll cover in a different video. So let's first talk about this type of payment plan. So this is the Generate Invoice Per Payment plan. So what this payment plan will do is it will actually generate a singular invoice per payment. So that means each time the system is expected to debit a payment, when we are successful in that debit of the payment, we will sync and set up a corresponding invoice in your accounting software that matches that payment. This best suits services that you're going to be doing, weekly, fortnightly, or monthly, and you are expecting that your customer will want a copy of that invoice, or you need a copy of that invoice for your own records. The other type of subscription invoice is the Generate a Single Invoice subscription. This type of subscription is designed to create one singular invoice in your accounting system at the start, and then start applying the payments over the schedule of the payment plan. This has a similar use case to the above payment plan. However, if you are intending to run your subscription for a considerable amount of time, for example, longer than a quarter, i.e. three or more months, it's typically best to use the other payment plan option. The main reason being is if you have a single invoice and you are running the payment plan from the single invoice over a large accounting period, there is a chance that when you close your accounting period, it can actually stop Pinch from syncing the data to your accounting software, and we get blocked. So it's usually best if you're going to be running it for longer than a quarter to use this type of payment plan. So let's talk about a couple of the things that you configure when you build a payment plan. So the first example that I'm going to do is I'm going to generate an invoice per payment plan. So there's really three steps that you need to go through when building a payment plan. The first is selecting what type of payment plan. The second is configuring your payments. And the third is setting up your naming convention and any chart of accounts that you need to list inside of this description. So let's talk about fixed and variable payments. So fixed payments are singular payments for a set amount or percentage. So in this case here, it would be an amount because we aren't chopping up an existing invoice. So let's say, for example, the use case here is you have a client, and when you're setting them up to your service, maybe you're a pool company or you are a digital marketing agency, and you're expecting to take an upfront deposit and then a repeating amount of funds from them every fortnight. All you would need to do here is first set up your fixed payment. So let's say this was a $250 deposit. You would want this to start immediately. So what that means is when your client actually goes and activates the subscription, this $250 will be attempted to debit straight away. It's good to do this because it gives you security about whether that payment method actually works that they've given you. And before you actually start to render service to them, you have a gauge of whether the payment method they've given you does actually have funds available in it or it does actually work. So this is a deposit amount. You can add multiple fixed payments. So for example, if you had a $250 initial deposit and then you had a $100 secondary deposit that comes out a week later, you can create this. For example, second depot. And then recurring payments. So recurring payments are your repeating debits. So this is where you're going to repeat the same dollar value over and over and over again until the payment plan concludes. So in this example, I have my $250 fixed deposit. I then have my second deposit of $100. And then maybe the recurring amount that I'm going to be debiting from my client is $25 every week. So all I need to do is configure a $25 payment that recurs every 7 days and starts, say, 2 weeks after the initial deposit, which was straight away. So we have a deposit that's straight away. We have a secondary deposit 7 days after that, and then 7 more days after that. So 14 days in total. The actual repeat element of the subscription comes into effect. The main configuration that you can set here on recurring payments is either that they never end, so this subscription will just repeat indefinitely, or you can set a number of payments. So in this case, it might be 12, or for a total dollar value, or ending at a specific date. From here, you can also do some advanced settings. So this is where you can actually set individual chart of accounts per repeat schedule or fixed schedule. So that's in the event that you record deposits and the repeat invoices into separate chart of accounts for your own tracking purposes. And you can also set these up to generate under a specific invoice template as well. So you have quite a fair amount of control with this feature. So from here, that's all you need to do in terms of creating your payment plan. There's obviously a lot of different examples that we could go through here for businesses, but most typically you'll use just a repeat invoice schedule for a set amount for either set duration or a set number of payments, but anything is customizable. The third component that you need to complete when generating a payment plan is the naming convention and your invoice template. So the generic invoice template is which invoice template Pinch will use when we either create the individual invoices in the event that you haven't specified at a per invoice level down here in the advanced settings. So in this case here, I would like these invoices to be created under the standard template, and I would like them to be recorded against the other revenue chart of account, for example. The last thing that I need to do here is name my subscription with either an internal name that's the same as a display name, or you can actually differ these. So in terms of internal name, I'm going to call this internal name digital marketing example. And then my external name might be the platinum package, 25 per week, right? That might be my external name. So the display name is what we show to your customers on the subscription activation page. And the last component here is the terms link. So if you actually have any MSA or additional terms of service that you need to convey to your client, you can include a digital link to this as well. And when the client is activating the subscription, they will be given a assumed consent link where by continuing, they're acknowledging your MSA. So if you need to include, that's available for you. So now I've configured those 3 things. I've selected my plan. I've configured my payments, either fixed or recurring or a combination of both. And I've named and set up my invoice config. I can hit create plan. Once this payment plan has been created, you can then invite your customers to the payment plan. So this is the plan details page. So this is where we show you the breakdown, i.e. the composition of how you've built your payment plan in a quick summary view, so that you can see that there is an initial deposit, a secondary deposit, and then the $25 that repeats for 12 payments every fortnight. You can see here that the plan will start immediately on activation and that we are generating an individual invoice per payment. From here, how do you invite a client to a payment plan? Well, you've got two options. The first option is if this is an existing customer that you already have in your accounting package, you can actually go to the add subscriber button here and you can add a subscriber to this payment plan. I'm going to add Adrian here and I would set up an email address in the event that I didn't already have one. And I can actually choose as a merchant if I'm configuring this payment plan to need to start by a specific date, i.e. the customer has until the 31st of the month, so the end of this month, to activate that payment plan, or that they can activate it at any time. The difference in this functionality is if you activate the schedule for future date and your customer does not activate this payment plan by this date, the payment plan will shift from a pending state to an expired state and will no longer be able to be activated. So you would then need to reissue and re-invite this client to the subscription. So in this case here, I'm going to set this up. I'm going to create that subscription and an email will now have been sent out to Adrian to activate that subscription. Now, what does Adrian see? Adrian will be taken to a subscription page that looks a little bit like this. Adrian will be able to see a full breakdown of when the payment plan is expected to start, the payments that are comprised inside of the payment plan, the payment methods that you are offering as a business and whether or not you're surcharging them. And all they need to do is choose their chosen payment method and activate the subscription. That's it. It's that simple. What you can also do is you'll notice that from this page here, when I clicked into the actual details of the subscription, you actually have the functionality as a merchant to open the subscription and activate it with your client, either Moto, so over the phone, or face-to-face with them in the event that you're a service-based industry business. Alternatively, you can also copy the enrollment link directly and email it to your client in the event that they haven't seen the email that comes from Pinch. And those are the various ways that you can actually get your client to subscribe to this payment plan. The last option, if we go back to our plan details page of our actual payment plan, is you can actually use this link here called the new customer sign up link. Now, this link is very, very powerful, but can also get you into a little bit of trouble if it's misused. This link is designed for completely new customers only. So that's this link here. If you send this link to someone and they already have a record in the accounting software, say, for example, we sent this to Adrian and they already had a record and they filled out and activated this payment plan, you will now have another Adrian in your accounting software. So please be mindful of this. Try not to use this link unless you are intending to send it to completely new customers as your method of onboarding them into your system. Otherwise, you can get yourself a little bit stuck. So they're the ways that you can actually activate a subscription for your client and invite them. As you can see, very, very powerful tool. And there's plenty that you can do that will enable your business. If you are a business that does Saas, say, for example, a software IT service or a phone carriage service or some sort of service that does repeat scheduled debiting, you have control to create highly bespoke or customized payment plans here at either an individual customer level or a business-wide package level, so offering certain types of service. So hopefully that explains everything about how to build a payment plan. Just some general information for you. You can see that there are a variety of statuses that payment plans will sit in. We have our active status. We have our pending status. That means that we're waiting on the customer to activate the payment plan. We have the completed status, which is where you'll see completed payment plans that have met their full duration and have now been completed. You'll be able to see canceled payment plans, and you'll also be able to see the ones that have expired. Hopefully, that's everything that you need to know about how to set up subscriptions inside of the Pinch system. If you have any other questions about it and need any additional support, feel free to reach out to us. And thank you so much for watching.